And welcome back to the class. Today in this session we'll be solving a few parajumble questions. So before I actually discuss the questions, I take it for granted that you guys have gone through the video of parajumble techniques that I uploaded in the last session. Okay, in case if you have gone through those techniques, you are supposed to apply the same techniques here to solve the parajumble questions. So this is the first question. You have five sentences here, A, B, C, D, E. Now you need to read these sentences carefully, and you are supposed to rearrange these five sentences into a meaningful paragraph. So now just try to recollect the techniques that we are supposed to apply while solving parajumbles. I told you three things to keep in mind. The first thing is you should always try to identify the starter, and once you identify the starter, your focus must be on pairing up the sentences. Okay, then naturally we will find the conclusion, right? But you need to keep these four things in your mind while you are trying to pair up the sentences. Your focus must be on pronouns, conjunctions, transitory words. Okay, these three keep in mind. And if you cannot find any pronoun or conjunction or any transitory word in a given paragraph, then your focus must be on understanding the main idea, and also you should concentrate on the points or the ideas or the thoughts which are being discussed in the paragraph. Fine. Now let's try to solve this question number 1. See here, if you go through these five sentences, already you have gone through, right? We discussed, I have already shared these questions in the Telegram group. In case if you have gone through all these five sentences, then you would find a pronoun in the last sentence, that is E, option E. See, here there is a phrase called such a disturbance. This is the clue here. Okay, because I'm not trying to find the starter, because if you look at the option, see, every option here is starting with A, so we don't really need to bother about finding a starter. So our focus must be on finding a correct clue here. Okay, and the clue word here is such a disturbance. If you look at option E, when you say such a disturbance, it is a pronoun. I told you to concentrate on these pronouns: he, she, it, this, that, these, those, and such. Okay, done. So when you guys use pronouns, you actually use a pronoun to refer to a noun, right? Ravi is my friend and he lives in Bombay. So if I directly say he lives in Bombay, it doesn't make any sense, because he should be referring to a noun. And what is he referring here? It is referring to a noun called Ravi. Done. Now when I say such a disturbance here, I must be referring to some disturbance. Now I need to see where this disturbance is used. Where is this word called disturbance used? So I could find the disturbance in two sentences, in B and A. So I should immediately understand that either A or B should precede option E. That's all. Now look at the options here. You have got 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 options. Now we need to see here, we need to see that either A or B should be preceding E. That means either A or B should come before E. Now look at option 1. E is preceded by D. That means before E there is D, so it cannot be the answer. Look at all these options, and in option 3 there is B before E. So that is the correct answer. Done. Simple technique. Okay. So that's why I always tell you to concentrate on these 3 words: pronouns, conjunctions, and transitory words. They help you a lot. Okay. So this is a simple technique. Apply this technique and solve the questions. Done. Question number 2. In question number 2, Charlotte Bronte, right? This is question number 2. So there are again 5 sentences, A, B, C, D, E. You have got 5 sentences. Here, if you observe in option A, there is something called but. It is a transitory word. Okay. And in option B, there is a pronoun called these examples. Done. I got but, but, a transitory word. And in option B, there is something called these examples. These is a pronoun. Okay. So these two are the clue words for me. I told you to remember these words, right? Again, I'm coming back to the pronouns, conjunctions, and transitory words again. Always keep these 3 in your mind. And see here, in option A there is but, and in option B both of these examples. That's all. So I'll start understanding from option B actually in both of these examples. When I say both of these examples, so naturally I am referring to some examples here. Where are those examples? See, look at option D. There is something called in George Eliot's Daniel Deronda. It's a work actually. And then in Shakespeare's King Lear. So there are two examples. Okay, there are two examples. Now this option B is referring to these two examples. These two examples, when I say, I am referring to two examples, right? And where are the examples discussed? In option E and option D, actually we discussed, some examples here, right? So now the point is ED should come before B. Either ED or DE should come before B. Now look at the options. So here in option, which option has got ED before B? So ED or DE? Option 1. Look at option 1. CDEB. Okay. So that is the correct answer. Option 1 is the correct answer because this, here B is actually preceded by E and D. So in Shakespeare's King Lear and then in George Eliot's Daniel Deronda, and now here both of these examples, in both of these examples, that means so B should be preceded by D and E. This is the correct answer. Done, right? Okay. So now question number 3. So now look at this example. Look at all these 4 sentences and see whether there is any pronoun or transitory word or a conjunction used, so that you can easily pair the sentences and find the answer. Here there is something called it actually. So I can see it here. It is the pronoun that is used to refer to singular nouns, right? So when I say it describes, if you look at option B, it describes. Okay, so it describes a love affair. Now comes a question, what describes a love affair? So it must be referring to a noun, and where is that noun? Look at option A. Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre is one of the classic 19th century novels in English. So here it is actually referring to this novel. Okay, so A should be followed by B. So AB is a pair. Now look at C and D. The novel ends with the marriage of Jane and Rochester after Jane has become both professionally and economically independent. This is one sentence. And in D again, Jane's struggle. Okay, so always remember, whenever an idea or a point or a person or a thought is introduced, and when the same idea or a person or the same name is repeated, first try to understand where that name is introduced. So here the name Jane is introduced in C, and again it is reused in option D. That means C and D form a pair. Okay, so the correct answer is A, B, C, D. Okay, done. Clear? Fine. And now the next one. Question number 4. So again here there are 5 sentences. As I told you, I always suggest to concentrate on pronouns, conjunctions and transitory words. See here in option D, there is something called beauty but. Okay, option D, look at but saying this. Okay, but saying this. So here you have introduced something called THIS this here, and you are saying but means there should be a transition. Maybe it is a contradictory idea, okay, referring to some other idea. So but saying this of course does not make isms go away. You are saying that this does not make isms go away. You are referring to a point and you are mentioning isms here. Okay, so what you need to understand here is, see, I'll give you an example. I can play cricket, but I cannot play hockey. I can play cricket, but I cannot play hockey. So when I use but I cannot play hockey, I should understand, okay, it should be preceded by a positive thought, right? Because I cannot play hockey is negative. That means it should be preceded by a positive idea, right? Clear? So here, when you are referring to, of course, this does not make isms go away means you need to find out where you have, spoken about isms. Okay, clear? Yes, if you look at option E, this assertion draws attention to the ways in which isms inevitably encourage generalizations. So here you have introduced the point regarding isms. Okay, and now repeated the same point in option D. That is a contradictory idea. Okay, in option D. So ED form a pair. Now look at the options here. ED, where is ED? And option number 2. BACED is the correct answer. Simple, that's all. Okay, done. And here is the last paragraph, and this para I have given you as a model example in the morning, and I hope you guys have tried solving it. I don't know how many of you have tried, but let's now try to solve this. So there are 5 sentences. Now in option A, owing to these difficulties, so here these difficulties, THSC, these, there is a pronoun, and in again option C there is a transitory word, however, and of course there is a pronoun again, this kiosk, and then you have these new opportunities, option D, and in option E, serious difficulties, okay, and in option F, new business opportunities. Okay, now I'll tell you what I've done here is, see, my focus is initially on these difficulties. In option A, there is a pronoun called these difficulties. So when I have a pronoun, I should concentrate on the noun, right? So the noun is introduced in option E. Look at option E, serious difficulties. So here I have introduced a noun called serious difficulties, and I have repeated the same idea, or I referred to serious difficulties again in A. That means E and A form a pair. And if you look at option D, there is something called these new opportunities. So these new opportunities means here I have used a pronoun. That means I should first understand where I have introduced that idea. The idea is introduced in F. Okay, new business opportunities and these new business opportunities. That means F and D form a pair. So I form 2 pairs here. One is EA and FD. Okay, 2 pairs. So, and there is something called this kiosk, right? In option C, however, amidst all this chaos. So this chaos means what? Chaos is what? Confusion, right? Problematic situation, trouble. Okay, now I need to see where I have spoken about the trouble. So in E, look at E, in the recent times the world economy has witnessed many serious difficulties. So I introduced a problem here actually. And what I have done here is I repeated the same idea in A, right? EA, we have already formed a pair. That means EA should be followed by C, right? So EAC, and already we formed a pair here. What is that? F and D. Now let's look at the options here. Already we formed a pair EA. If you look at the options, all these 4 options are beginning with EA. That means what we need to do, we need to check the other pairs. See here, F, you introduced new business opportunities and you repeated the same idea in D. FD, you have formed a pair, right? We already formed a pair called FD. So where is FD used? FD is used in option 1 and option 2 also. That means you can eliminate option 3 and 4. Now we need to see, is it EAC BFD or EAFD BC? Okay, so either it could be 1 or 2. Already I told you. So here there is something called this chaos in option C, and it should be after EA. That means EACBFD. So the correct answer is option 1. Done. So that's all for today. Let's discuss a few more questions. I'll be giving questions now. So let's I'll meet you in the Telegram group. Thank you and keep practicing well. Ask me in case if you have any questions, and of course please do share this video with your friends and subscribe the channel and do like the videos. Thank you so much.